Good morning, Roy. It's a little bit after 5 in the morning. This is my quiet time that I use to just do my things between now and about 7 in the morning when I gotta head to work. So today, I'm gonna begin a project that I've been thinking about ever since you made your funny quote about Woody Allen. Any club that would have me, I don't want to join. So we've been thinking that's been pretty funny. So and we talked about making T-shirts. That's a little hobby I picked up just to learn how it was done. So I'm going to begin the process to make you a T-shirt that says that, and I'll take you on the journey. So first thing is a little coffee. Got my Mac, which is not even on yet. All right, there, Roy. So step one is to get the quote, and Tina did that. So let's see. Oh. She sent me an email that said she found it on the internet, and it said, "I'd never join a club that would allow a person like me to become a member." That is the official quote. We will begin with this information. Next thing we'll do is we'll open, for graphic design, I use Google Draw, which is free. And so I'm going to cut and paste that quote into a blank page, the size of a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is the size of paper that we can print transparency. And that's what we'll do next. All right. All right, here's a picture of my screen. I'm going to change the size of the page to 8.5 by 11, and pasted my quote in here, and now I'll start designing. So this could take a while, so doing a time lapse would probably not be a good idea. This could take days. So I'll just work on it, think about it, work on it, think about it, and maybe make a few different ones and get Tina's input on this. So here we go. All right, Roy. So Tina had a great idea about this T-shirt, and that is to put people on there that would have the same mindset as you about this whole club thing, membership. And so we'll reveal later, but she's using her sketchbook and putting things together. All right. As we mentioned a moment ago, Tina had this great idea to put some headshots into this T-shirt of some people that I think you could really relate to, that might feel the same way as Woody and you about this club membership thing. I've been thinking a ton about this, and so I've got a few people, but let me see, Galileo. So to get to a black and white image from an image, I found this little website, rapidresizer.com, photograph to pattern. Strange, but it works pretty well. So I'll give you an example. Let's do Stephen Hawkins. So I Googled Stephen Hawkins and looking for a headshot. And when I'm picking a headshot, one, it's got to look like him. And, he's got a lot of different stages in his life, like pretty extreme, and to his younger years where he's not even in a wheelchair. I like this one because it shows him, well. You could clearly know it's Stephen Hawkins and he's dealing with his challenges, but he doesn't look really far along. So anyway, also I'm looking for something with some degree of contrast between the headshot and the background. So I picked this picture, and we just save it, save the image, save image as, and I've got it saved in headshots, but I'm just going to save it right here for the sake of this video. And then upload a file. And there's our file. Open it. And it comes in like this, and which I thought was, all right, now we're getting somewhere. But they have all these little different adjustments, and they do different things. You can see this one, not quite what I was looking for. This one, even, this one's not doing it for me either. But I found this one called Adaptive. Does a pretty good job. And so if you adjust these things, and usually on the softer side to create some more blocky black and white. Now I've got a black and white image of Stephen Hawkins, and try to keep the background clear. So then you just click download or print this page, and it pops up, and then I would just say save image as, and I would call this Stephen Good, and save it. And then rinse and repeat for the different people. So that's the story there. So then when it comes all together, it looks something like this. And so this is the rough layout that Tina wanted. Trying to scale everybody eyes to mouth so that they kind of look good together. So it is interesting when you look at people, even when a simplified picture. I mean, that is clearly you. It's clearly Stephen. It's a nice younger picture of Carl Sagan. And then it's just interesting to see our headshots idealized like that. I got a big oval head here. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, but Woody Allen looks really good. So anyway, so then I printed this, but I also gave Tina a picture of all the headshots in color. This is this one. She used this. She used both to do her drawing that she made. So, so that's the story of pulling together these headshots, and then Tina took those and then she created a layout and sketch so that I could scan it, and that's what we're gonna do next this morning. Boom. All right, so gonna get ready to scan, and this is Tina's vellum sketchbook, and this was her practice run of making these sketches based on those headshots I just showed you how we made them. And there's Carl Sagan's missing because I thought of him after she started. She was inspired a bit by Mount Rushmore, and I had printed some pictures of Mount Rushmore as she began this effort. So then the real thing, I gave her, I showed you, I printed these things out for her. There's some bigger ones. There's the color one. And she came up with this. And that is the official headshots for the t-shirts. I love it. Looks really good. So we're gonna tear this out of the book and put it on the scan bed. All right, so I've got this Epson flatbed scanner I've had for a long time, but it works great. The artwork, just barely fits onto the scanner, so this could be a little challenging, but we're gonna this is the first shot, so we're just gonna line the top edge up against the top of the scan bed, and we're gonna close this down carefully, and we're gonna go scan it. All right, so we're at the computer. I just clicked preview. Oh, look at that, it fit. So, I need to double check to make sure it didn't cut this off. I didn't even look at my settings or anything. But anyway, that's the preview. That's the scanning. We'll work on this to make sure the scan is just perfect, and we'll go from there. All right, so now we're doing just a quick look at this. So the preview looks a little bit better now. The background is smoother and white, and that's because I took the vellum and folded the edges so that it fit flatter on the scan bed. And now I'm going to do a couple scans. First one I'm going to do is, well, first of all, I got to select where I want it to scan. So I want the top corner here. I just wanted to scan that. We're going to do a couple different versions. I'll start with, so we can do, 48-bit color all the way down to black and white. I'm going to do a black and white, a grayscale, and a color smooth. And 300 DPI is plenty. And so we're gonna scan these, and then we'll look at those images closer. So scan this. Yeah, desktop is fine. Prefix, that's something old. So this is Roy's t-shirt, black and white. Start it. 1 JPEG is good. Oh, I wonder if I can do. I can't do PNG. Okay, JPEG's good. And then say OK. All right, there it is. Let's open it. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Ooh, I like. All right, so I'll just keep that on the side. Now, just for fun, we'll do the grayscale. Let's do 16-bit grayscale, and scan the same thing, and then we'll just change this name to gray. Back down to 1. Just out of interest, how big a file is that? Get info. Oh, it's teeny. Okay, here's the grayscale one, just for fun, get info. It's actually smaller. That's interesting. Okay, let's open that. Okay, so I do not like this one as much. If we compare this one with this one, for making the t-shirt, that is black, and these are gray. So light's reflecting from the scanner a bit, and yeah, that's not going to work as well as this. I mean, if you look at that, that is black, and that is clearly a gray, and it's reflecting off the vellum. So that's a good little experiment. So let me just put that in the trash right away. And then I think that really told the story what's going to happen when we go to color, but just for the grins. Color smooth, scan. We'll call this color. And we'll cycle that back down to 1. Say OK. And looks like it's doing a very similar thing. I mean, this is actually a more accurate scan of the artwork, but in this particular case, I'm not looking for an accurate representation of Tina's artwork. I'm looking for a black and white version. So we're going to stick with the black and white scan, and we're off to the next step. Cool.
Okay.
All right, we're doing a video. Tina's proofing our final tweaks to the text. We're really focused on the text on the bottom line. And Tina, so we have a long skinny, we have a big bold, something in the middle, and now what? What are we doing?
So I'd like one more.
Yep.
This size at the top.
Okay, I can do that.
So it'll be all the same size, but it's not quite as big.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right. Okay. I know that one's out for sure because I don't like the difference in the font. like the way this cleaned up to this. Okay, so keep that one. This one puts the emphasis on, I'd never join a club that would allow a person like me to become a member. Okay, this one, I think that is out because I asked you to change that from the very beginning. Okay, so let me put this one up here. Do I like that very large? I'm gonna go ahead and take this one out and do this one here. Stay tuned, Roy, and you'll see what the final product is.
All right, Roy. So next step is to make the screen for the t-shirt screen printing. And this is how it works. So let me just show you what we're heading for. This is what we're heading for. So this, set this down. So this is a screen, and it's kind of got a plasticky feel to it. And you can see the lines are clear for the print that I wanted, which was a t-shirt with all the key points on the globe's latitudes. So that's what we're heading for. This plasticky stuff starts as a photo emulsion, which we're gonna make here in a second. And the way we do this is, we'll get this tilted up a little bit more. So this is simply a wooden frame that I made, and stretched over it is just some sheer that you get from the fabric store that's used in liners for curtains. And I use some double sticky tape to put on the outsides of the frame, and then you stretch it very tightly, systematically around the frame, and then I staple it for good measure. And so now you have a screen print, and this is a blank screen, and we're gonna pour the photo emulsion on this, and away we're gonna go. So that's the story, and we'll make the chemicals here in a minute. All right, let's talk chemicals. So the company name is Diezo, I guess. And there's two parts, almost like an epoxy. There's this first part, which is a sensitizer. And then there's this photo emulsion. And this is heavy and full. This starts out, it feels completely empty, but there's a little chemical in the base of it, and you fill it a half full with water, which I did already, and you get it to dissolve. So I'm working on that right now, get it all to dissolve. I was shaking it a little vigorously earlier, and it started to leak out the top, which is strange. But anyway, here we go. Still dissolving and that, and then we're gonna pour it inside this. And it's cool is because it changes color. So we're gonna readjust here. So it's blue. Blue right now. And I got my mixers from the Chinese store there. Okay, or the Chinese food store. Okay, so hopefully this is mixed up. I'll look inside here and see if it... Yeah, I can, just looking inside here, I can see the bottom of the bottle. Which is, well, I don't want to spill it, I'm trying to show you, but anyway, trust me, it's nice and dissolved and mixed in. So I'm gonna just pour this all in there. Okay, so now I'm stirring this up, and you can see it's changing colors dramatically. I'm gonna stir like crazy. remember it got nice and green when I was done. When I look down in there, I can still see blues and greens and dark swirls. So let's see. The dark swirls is the synthesizer, and the blue is the original, and the green is the partially mixed. We want it all green, and we want all that dark stuff to go away. So I'm mixing. Well, it's looking smoother. Oh yeah. All right. So I'm gonna stop the video. I'm gonna stir it up quite a bit more, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right. So you can see that little blue? That was the original color, and that green is the new color. So I feel pretty good. I stirred like crazy, and I got it nice and smooth. So this, from my experience, not being very efficient, this will make about 3 screens. So I'm gonna pour just about 20% of it or less on my screen, and then I'm gonna use a squeegee, and I'm gonna smooth it out. And the idea is we wanna fill all the nooks and crannies of that screen with this. And it's not photosensitive right now, so we can do this in the light. But it becomes photosensitive when it dries. So let's just try to do this. Oh boy, here goes nothing. So I got a nice bit here at the top. And then I'm gonna use my squeegee, and I'm gonna just drag it. I'm not pushing too hard, dragging it down. You can see I don't have enough, because it just got absorbed right into that cloth. And it's kind of wet on this side. We're gonna come back to that side. Let me put this down for a second. And I'm gonna pour, we'll go from the other side now. This stuff gets kind of to be a pain. All right, so here we go. We're gonna pour about the same amount. Put a bigger blop in the middle there to, whoa. I want to turn it around, there we go. So, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm feeling good about this. So I'm just trying to get it, doesn't have to go right up to the edges. Little piece of wood there. There's a little string right there. A little piece of wood. Okay, back to business. A little bit. So we want this side to be nice and smooth. Other than this little spot up here, I'm pretty happy. All right. Now one right down the middle, because that's the most important. All right. That's my system. All right, so now we have our screen with our wet emulsion on it. It's not photosensitive yet. It's gonna dry. And then here's my drying solution. So on the lower rack down here, I just have a piece of cardboard to catch any of that green stuff that drops. And then I have little wooden standoffs for the corner of the screen on this rack. And I'm just gonna put it right on in there and slide it in the oven. So there we go. Now, we're not using the oven for heat or anything. It's just a a dry spot for me to, a place that I can make dark. Okay, so it's in the oven. Now watch this trick. I've got a vinyl curtain from when I worked at Freightliner. And I'm gonna close this in the door. It goes over the back in case there's a vent that might let light in. Okay, just a little bit more like this. All right, now, so you can see that vinyl is covering the opening, and then I'll close the door and push it shut and make sure that no light can leak in around the top or the sides. Make sure that's all the way down. Okay, and covers the back in case there's a vent back there. I think there's a vent. So that is a completely dark place, and we'll just come back tomorrow and it'll be ready to expose. All right, that's it for today. Just a little cleanup. Oh, it's water soluble, so I just have to go to the sink and clean all that stuff off. All right, next step. So we got the screen drying in the background there, and now we're gonna set up the illumination station for the screen that we'll use tomorrow. So we're just getting a jump on tomorrow. I'll do a time lapse of this. Here's the setup. So I got a shop light, 500 watt light that will project over the screen when I put it on that table saw. All right, Roy, so we're getting to the screen printing section now, and to do that I want to practice just the moves because it's photosensitive now. It's not super photosensitive, but I like to be smooth about what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it here on an older one that's already exposed, just to talk it through with you so you see how it's done, and then I'll do a time lapse for the real thing. All right, so first you have your artwork on transparency, and this side is the way it appears on the shirt. And so it will lay on the shirt like that. So the silk screen lays on the shirt, so you want to be able to read the transparency when it's facing this direction. So that means when we actually expose it, we have to flip the transparency over so the transparency is backwards when we do this. And the steps that I follow is we want this black piece of paper up against the thing just to absorb light that we want to absorb. And to do that, a nice fit, I have this board that'll press the paper into place. Let's go ahead so the paper will go in the screen, the board will go in, and then I put little boards down, let's see, just to practice here. So they'll go like that, pretty much. So these boards will be here like this. These boards will be on top of them. Black paper will be on top of that. Screen is going to come out of its dark place. I'm going to put it down on the board and make it nice and flat. Then I'm going to take the transparency, which is backwards, and I'm going to try to put it on as straight as possible. I'll line the edges up, and then we'll put this piece of glass over it. Make sure everything's lined up. Press it down, make sure there's no defects under the glass, and we'll turn on the light. And we'll run it for 25 minutes, I think. So that's the steps. Show you what's happening while it's cooking. So I've got my light, 500 watt shop light, hung from the rafters. It's kind of hokey, but the little vice grip is just balancing the weight so that stays pretty flat, and then it's projecting down as evenly as possible on the screen. So there's the artwork. Cooking away. So the clear, the light is changing it such that when immersed in water, it's resistant to water. The black is blocking the light and leaving the material water soluble, and we'll wash it all off. So the next step I'm going to do is get my bucket ready for the washing while this is still cooking. All right, Roy, the moment of truth, pulling it off the light. It's been 25 minutes, and pull the light, get the glass off. Transparency off. And if you look really closely, I'm trying to hold it still so it focuses, you can see that this is dark and this is light. And the light is the water soluble part. Now normally they tell you to put it under a hose or a sink, but I don't have that in my garage, so I'm gonna do this. It's starting to come out. You can see it. Kind of plunging it, running water back and forth over it. Oh. Looks good. It looks like a negative. I don't know if you can see how that's starting to lighten up. It looks like a negative from a camera now. I've got a little paintbrush. I'm just really lightly encouraging some of this to come free. One thing I noticed is that sometimes the top side is a bit more water resist, or the
exposed part is more solid. On the back side, it seems like the whole back side comes off some. So I just flipped it over and just working these in on this side. My music stopped, which is a big problem, so I gotta go fix that. All right, so there it is. What do you think? So I've looked real carefully at all the fine detail, and it seems to be preserved pretty well. And I'm a little worried about my beard here. It's pretty heavily beard, which is fine. But there's no residue left in any of the words or anything. So yeah, success. So well, we'll just let this dry and clean up, let this dry, and then the next step, it's not time sensitive. We can, is we take duct tape and we'll put it around the edges of the screen so that the ink doesn't go through where that mesh close to the frame is not covered by the screen barrier. So you'll see here. All right, Roy. So we got the screen. It's loaded with ink. T-shirts laid out here with a piece of cardboard. The cardboard in between the layers prevents the image from going through to the back side. So we're gonna center this. So I'm centering it kind of relative to the armpits and putting it up near the top by the V line, just kind of looking at the design, making sure it's straight and dropping it straight down. Then take some ink, putting it across the screen like this. A little bit more here. All right, then we get the squeegee, and here we go. This nice pressure across the image. You can see it didn't go well across part of the words there. So we're gonna get some more ink down at the bottom. Okay, nice and even ink across the whole thing. Take that excess ink off my squeegee. Check my hands for ink. Pretty good. Okay, now I'm holding the shirt down because it wants to lift up as it's stuck to the back of the screen. And there it is. Awesome. Fantastic. I think that'll be my keeper. It's a little light here. So I'm making 2 of each so that we have a pair. All right, that's it, Roy. Awesome. Hope you love your shirt. All right, Roy, so the shirt project is finished and we're just, I was cleaning up and I thought I'd make one more video. I don't know if you were watching real closely, but I played a little switcheroo in the video and I want to tell you about that. So, need to change shots here. All right, so I don't know if you noticed it, but I changed screens during the video. First, I showed you how I made screens, and I've made them successfully in the past this way, where it's homemade, where it's boards that I put together, put a screen on there, and I use a cotton shear. But I bought a professional screen, and the reason is, when I was printing the shirts with my homemade screen, I was getting, wasn't getting the fine resolution I really wanted for this intricate face work. It was kind of pixelated, and so I didn't like it. And I thought to myself, I wonder what it's like using a professional screen. And I mean, there's so many things about this professional screen that are better and different, but I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like a drum. Mine sounds a little bit like a drum, but I have a lot more play in mine. These are a lot tighter. The film, the mesh is a lot finer grain, and as a result, the images came out a lot better using this screen. When you look at the image itself, they look really similar. The resolution of the image was similar, but the ink didn't move through the little holes as well. Here's a little close-up view. And I think you can see the difference. All right, Roy, let's take a closer look at, this is my test one. And yeah, this is good. See how it's pixelated there? And then you look at the one that we gave you, and it looks a lot better. So had to change it up. Had to go pro to do this good quality shirt. So it was fun. Well, working with a new screen was interesting. It's more of a nylon, and this is more of a cotton. And the cotton absorbs the chemical a lot more, so it takes longer to dry and longer to expose. I made this screen the way I make these, cured it for 25 minutes under the light, and it was rock solid, and I had to get a chemical and clean it off. So I cut the time down, exposed it for 15 minutes. It was rock solid again, completely baked, because I think the layer is much thinner. With the cloth, it absorbs into the cloth, and it's a thicker layer. So then I just did it for 8 minutes. I think if I did another one, I would do it for about 10 minutes. But it took a while, several rounds to get this one to work, but I like it a lot better. So any shirt that's that's precision, I want to use one of these professional frames. I just got it at the hobby store. It's made by Speedball. But it was nice to work with. It dried a lot faster, it dried smoother. You know, it's funny, when you use the proper equipment, it does make a difference. So Roy, I hope you enjoy, that's a long video I put you through, the making of your t-shirt. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I learned more doing your project than I knew before, so that's always a bonus. I learned about using a professional screen and the differences between a homemade one and a professional one, and that's something I'm going to apply to my future t-shirts. You know, it's interesting, Pete is in a STEM science program, and this semester they're going to make t-shirts. So I'm really pumped about that. He's going to come up, and I'm going to make shirts with him. So it'll be a lot of fun. All right, Roy, signing off. Enjoy. I sure did.